I remembered seeing one of the girls from the high school bus go up to a wooded driveway. That's when I started thinking if I could make my way through the woods to her house, I could abduct her from there. Chapter 8, page 2, 48 hours before officials say Vincent Filyaw would carry out that plan. This is his manuscript, a detailed description of the 10 days that terrified a community. I was prepared for battle now and had all intentions of starting a war. I actually felt guilty for what I knew she was fixing to endure. Wednesday, September 6, 2006, 4:30 p.m. Filyaw writes that he was dressed as a deputy when he handcuffed and kidnapped his victim as she walked from her bus stop towards her front door. She went where I told her. I wanted her to stay calm, so I told her my sergeant was waiting to talk to her. I placed a necklace around her neck. She asked me what it was for. I explained to her that the small black box on it was an explosive. I then told her that she was being kidnapped and that if she did anything stupid, I would blow her up. Sounds like an admission, so you have to wonder, did Filyaw, who pleaded not guilty, really write all of this?
I would say that I'm somewhere near 90 to 95% sure that he did this.
Charles Parada has been examining handwriting samples for more than 3 decades. The former FBI forensic investigator compared Filyaw's signatures on 2 court documents with those on 3 letters he sent to News 19. Parada says similarities showed up in strokes, letter size, spacing, and the degree of slant.
I saw numerous handwriting characteristics in common, which lead me to the conclusion that it is more likely than not that Filyaw did prepare each of the questioned signatures in this case.
I've instructed someone to send you a copy of the book. It is the complete book, however, it is the unfinished, unedited version. This is the last letter we received, and as explained, the book followed. Chapter 8, page 3. I told her that I intended to rape her. She immediately looked frightened. I told her as long as she did what I told her, I would not hurt her. That afternoon, Filyaw says he led his young hostage less than a mile into the woods to this underground bunker. 10 feet wide, 8 feet deep, and 20 feet long. This is where they found refuge. She sat there listening to me, then quietly asked me when she would be able to go home. She just seemed to be such a really sweet girl that I hated to tell her the truth. So I lied to her and said, soon, real soon. But the truth he did tell her was why she was now his hostage. He explains in this letter that during an investigation of accusations that he sexually assaulted his 12-year-old stepdaughter, the sheriff's deputy had no intention of hearing his side of the story. I did what I did without admitting to anything yet to show Kershaw County I can play as dirty as they can. Also to show the public how incompetent and corrupt they really are.
Family and friends of a missing teenager are gathering in Lugoff.
Now, Sheriff McCaskill says officers will continue to search those.
Filyaw says that when deputies deemed the missing girl a runaway, he had won. My hostage, however, became more depressed because now she knew nobody was looking for her. As days passed, he wrote that the two fell into a routine, leaving the bunker daily to clean clothes, collect water, and converse. But beyond the first day, rape was never mentioned as part of that plan. She told me she was bored and asked if she could play on my cell phone. I thought about it for a moment. She had done good outside, and I knew the phone didn't work inside the bunker, so I finally agreed. It was a week after the girl's kidnapping when Filyaw's kindness revealed the route to her escape. After a year of careful, meticulous planning, I had let her win. I literally gave her the phone to call the police. It was as simple as that. I couldn't be mad at her. She had done what any person in her situation would have done, and probably better. She had won my trust and defeated me. Investigators say the girl actually sent a text message to her mother, which led officials to this mining yard, where an all-night search forced Filyaw to get going. I had really grown fond of my hostage, and I had hoped to keep her, but as they say, all good things must come to an end. Besides, it was what I planned all along. I grabbed my backpack and rifle and opened the door. Hours later, the girl was rescued. That as Filyaw hiked his way past police down Spears Creek Church Road towards I-20, where he says he surrendered. If I gave up, I would have full medical coverage, 3 meals a day, and never have to work again. I stood there for a minute thinking, then I lit a cigarette and walked over to the side of the interstate. I had made my decision. Chapter 9, page 4, it was around 4:30 Sunday morning. The then 46-year-old was finally out of the woods, handcuffed and hauled off to jail, where time to tell his story would be seemingly endless.
By 1 a.m., it was still a significant fire at the Palmetto Peanut Factory. But when it broke out 3 hours earlier, firefighters described it as a blaze that could be seen from 6 miles away.
When we got here, the flames actually were going above this building, the peanut factory. It was probably, we could say, nearly 100 feet.
Dozens of trucks were lined up inside this tractor-trailer shed, all loaded with peanuts when the fire broke out. An official cause wasn't immediately known, but whatever it was, people who were there say they've never seen anything like it. You've been looking at fires for a number of years now, I take it. Where does this one stand?
I'd say this is number one.
The largest fire we've ever had in my fire district.
Largest ever?
Yes.
How many years for you now fighting fires?
How many years? I've been fighting fires about 30 years.
In all, 13 fire departments from Orangeburg and Calhoun counties responded to the call. But despite all the destruction, officials say nobody was hurt.
Oh no, nothing but peanuts.
After 3 hours of fighting the huge blaze, the firefighters turned their hoses off. The only thing left to do was let the fire burn itself out. One firefighter told me they could have had an entire pond here, and it still wouldn't have been enough water to put this fire out. In Calhoun County, Will Frampton, News 19 WLTX.
All right, how you guys today? Good. Excuse me? Good. Good.
Pumping up for this high school sport?
We'll run through the safety. How many mistakes can we make? None. None, ever.
Is serious business. There's no basketball, no cleats. Guns are these Hammond students' primary equipment.
Let's go, shoot well.
It brings together a lot of different kids. You have athletes, you have non-athletes.
In January, head coach Wes Dasher helped start up sporting clays at Hammond School. It's just one of a number of private schools across South Carolina to give the sport a shot.
It gives them an opportunity to come out, learn the right way to handle a firearm, learn all the safety aspects.
From freshmen to seniors, 30 teens and 12 coaches practice each Sunday at Hermitage Farms.
I've always been kind of good at it.
Including David Tucker. Though animals have been his target since he was 8, David hasn't had any trouble switching to clay discs.
I'll shoot a couple times at a 5-stand right before the tournament, and just imagine the bird.
There are 10 to 14 stands on a course, and all the targets on those stands are all different. And typically around the sporting clays is 100 shots.
Potentially a lot of dangerous opportunities for a lot of kids.
Every single practice, every single tournament, I go through those safety guidelines. And I can honestly say we have not had one incident whatsoever where someone's deviated from it. Not one.
Pull. First and foremost, these students learn safety, but that's not the only target of sporting clays.
First of all, I hope they had a lot of fun.
Cool.
They're better shots, and which translates into a lot more self-confidence, and I can already see those things taking place.
We always have a good time, and the coaches are excellent and wonderful, and they know their stuff.
Tennis is a box.
If Hammond's inaugural season is any indication,
We're seeing some great results.
These sharpshooters could help put sporting clays with the likes of other high school sports.
Good job.
In Camden, Jennifer Tomazik, News 19 WLTX.
They say you only live once.
No heartbeat, no breathing, and no brain activity.
Try telling that to Daniel Brinkley.
I'd have to say categorically that if this had not had happened to me, I would not believe a word of it.
In September of 1975, while talking on the telephone, Daniel was struck by lightning. It was a blast so powerful he literally came out of his shoes.
Lightning hit. It came down the phone line. It hit me in the side of the head. It went down my spine. It welded the nails of the heels of my shoes to the nails in the floor. It threw me in the air, it suspended me in the air, and it slammed me back down on the bed. I'm burning. I'm on fire. The flash of ball of fire burnt my eyes so bad I couldn't see.
What happened next sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
Then all of a sudden, I left. Then I could look down and I saw my body lying across the bed. The paramedics get there.
Those paramedics rushed Daniel to the nearest hospital. That's when he says he heard confusing news.
And I'm still watching this, and then the paramedic said, he's gone. He's gone. And I thought, gone where?
Danyon was declared dead, covered with a sheet, and taken to the morgue. By then, he says, he had traveled to a peaceful place, a blue-gray place, where he felt safe and loved. There were chimes and beautiful music all around him, and he found himself going down a tunnel with a very bright light.
And then I had what I believe to be the single most important component of the near-death experience. The Book of Judgment, the Akashic Records, where all things are written. This will happen to everybody. I had a panoramic life review. I watched my entire life pass before me.
Moments later, Danyon says he passed over a mountain-like area where he came upon a crystal city. It was there he was shown events that were yet to come. Then, suddenly, he heard someone say it was time to leave. Back at the hospital, Danyon's brother was in the morgue.
And when he got near me, all of a sudden a breath came back. And I started to blow on the sheet. He saw the sheet being moved, and he called the people in the emergency room. They rushed me back in.
Doctors are stunned, but Danyon is indeed alive. But the road to recovery would be a long one.
Dead for 28 minutes, completely paralyzed for 6 days, partially paralyzed for 7 months. Took me 2 years to learn to walk and feed myself.
It may have been a close call, but I don't know if he really experienced death.
The Reverend Ellis White has doubts about Danyon's story.
The Bible says in Hebrews 9:27 that we are appointed one time to die, and after that, the judgment. So, scripturally, for a person to say that they actually really died, I don't agree with that.
I've discovered that the phenomenon is fairly widespread.
Dr. Jan Holden is a researcher at North Texas University.
Out of every 100 people who come close to death through accident, illness, childbirth, car accident, surgical complication, those sorts of things, 88 of them will not remember anything, but about 12 of them will remember a vivid experience that feels to them absolutely real.
Danyon has had 2 other near-death experiences, in 1989 during open heart surgery, and then again in 1997 during brain surgery. But in these 2 instances, doctors revived him.
I had modern science come to my aid, and they brought me back from the dead.
Danyon has shared his remarkable story with others. He's written 3 books, all made the New York Times bestsellers list, and a television movie about his life was viewed by millions.
Hello?
These days, Danyon spends his time as a volunteer hospice worker, caring for veterans who don't have long to live. In fact, he's put in more than 25,000 hours of volunteer work at VA hospitals across the country. He's also served on a White House commission that specialized in end-of-life care. And he was recently honored by President Bush for his volunteer efforts.
I didn't get off on tangents. I didn't go say the world's coming to an end. I became a hospice volunteer, and I die with veterans. That's what I do. And I'm very proud of what the near-death experience created and turned me into.